being present is being in the moment, and that's living.
Right.
Being in the moment is actually living, because most of the time when we're in the moment, we're talking about the past, or we're planning for the future, or we're worried about the future.
You hit it.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if we do things that force us to be present, that's how you balance yourself out.
Hey guys, what's good? And welcome to the COSIGN Life. If you're watching this video, that means you co-sign us and we co-sign you. So here are a couple of ways to support us at COSIGN Magazine. Number one, view the description below, click the link, and purchase an issue of COSIGN Magazine. Just like this one right here, physical. You can purchase this. Number two, you can also support us by purchasing COSIGN merch. Hit the link below and it'll take you to all our past merch items, and we'd love to have your support and see you wear COSIGN Magazine.
What up, world? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of COSIGN Conversations. I know I say I'm super excited, but for today, I really am super excited. Not to say that I'm not with any other guests, but today I'm super excited to announce that COSIGN Conversation now has a co-host. Insert clapping sounds. Yay! Y'all have seen her before on COSIGN. She's been on our COSIGN Conversations podcast. She's been on a couple of our series, but now she's my lovely, amazing, intelligent, and beautiful co-host, Adaire. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
So Adaire does so many things, so I don't want to mess anything up. So I'm going to let you kind of talk about all the different things that you do in your day-to-day life.
I got to talk about myself now.
Yes, you got to talk about yourself.
Most people know me or know my background as being a professional model.
Of course.
So I've done that for over a decade. I've been in the game for a minute.
Yes, seasoned veteran.
Yeah, seasoned for sure. And also, I have a company that's brain and behavioral science based for creatives, where I do a lot of professional development behind the scenes. So I guess you could say I'm a brain and behavioral educator. And I also do interviews going over into the sports entertainment world. I'm starting to do mainly for the fight game, for MMA, doing post-fight, pre-fight interviews, post-fight interviews, even sideline interviews, commentating, stuff like that.
How'd you get into that? Like, I know I'm not supposed to be interviewing, you're supposed to be talking, but I'm really curious. I'm really curious though. Like, how'd you get into that? It's not every day, let alone a woman, but a black woman and your friend just wakes up and you see her commentating on an MMA fight.
Oh yeah. So a lot of people don't know this about me, but I've trained mixed martial arts on and off for the last 9 years.
Right.
So fighting was really the only sport I was naturally good at.
What all did you try though?
What all have I tried?
Yeah.
Oh man, I started off doing boxing.
Okay.
Then when I went over to do mixed martial arts, I started with jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I did Muay Thai, which is just a form of kickboxing.
Right.
Wrestling. Those are
dang.
pretty much,
You really have done it all.
well, not all of it, but those are like the core,
Yeah.
the core techniques, I guess you could say, that I know. And yeah, MMA is the sport. I love watching it. I've watched it for years. I know a lot of people in the MMA community. I never made it like the forefront of my life. So
Gotcha.
It just made sense, to go over into sports entertainment. I've already have a background in entertainment and fashion, so I'm not shy to the camera.
Yeah.
And then I'm also educated on the sport, so
Got you.
it kind of just made sense.
So basically you're a badass and nobody should mess with you.
I'm an undercover bodyguard.
Undercover bodyguard. That's what's up. I'm gonna have to have you.
At least for your average person. I probably can't beat someone who's been training as long as I have, or even more, but your average street person.
You got it. But adrenaline kicks in sometimes and you don't know what you can do. Like,
Yeah.
I've done some crazy stuff on it, and when my blood was pumping. I've cleared gates, fences when I've been running and getting chased. That's my past life though. But
Yeah, it's clearing fences.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like we've all done that.
Yeah.
I haven't had to clear a fence.
Yeah,
It's interesting because when people find out that I trained, especially when I was doing photo shoots, and the worst time, I actually have a story. I was training And this girl, she was a wrestler. She was super fast. She did this move where she like spun out of whatever I had her in,
Yeah.
and her heel went straight into my eye.
She had her heels on?
No. The heel of
the heel
her
of her foot.
Yeah.
My bad.
It like fit perfectly in the socket of my eye.
Yeah.
It went straight there. And I had a photo shoot the next day. So I'm holding my eye, and I was like, no. This can't swell up. I got to shoot in the morning. So she starts freaking out, and she runs next door. There was a Subway next door. She runs next door, and they get like a little bag of ice, and I just had it on my face. And lo and behold, I did not have a bruise or any
wow.
lump that came up, because you can actually prevent that from happening if you take care of your stuff immediately,
Okay.
just so people know.
I was going to say, because, no offense to light-skinned people, but y'all bruise easy.
We bruise easy. Man, I get bruises on my legs all the time, and I don't even know where they come
Y'all
from.
bruise easy, so,
Yeah. But when I was doing it, people would say like, "You can't do that. You're too pretty to be fighting." And I
You
was
hate
like,
that? You're too pretty to do something?
"No, I don't hate it. I just tell them like that's a really stupid thing to say, because no pretty girl. It doesn't matter what you look like. You're
Right.
never too pretty to be your own hero. You're never too pretty to know how to protect yourself or your
Right.
family. Like that's just a weird thing to say."
Got you. No, that's real. Does training affect your dating life, though? Like, right, are men, like, scared to date you?
No.
Or do you only date, like, men that,
Usually,
are, like, alpha males?
I like alpha males. I tend to get along with them better. I only had one guy I dated that he didn't like it, but he was from another country, so he thought that women fighting was like, they shouldn't be doing that at all. And I'm like, well, you can't fight, so one of us have to know how to protect each other.
How did he take that? I don't know how.
We'll talk about that, but he was probably the only. Everyone else is. My dad was skeptical of it at first. He didn't want me doing it, and then he went to a tournament I had, and he saw me win 3 times in a row. He was like, "Okay,
She got something.
I'm cool with it now."
I don't know how I would feel, though, if my girl told me that I could fight. I don't know. That'd have to be a conversation in itself. Like, all right, but we got to sit down and talk about this. So why do you feel like I can't fight? Have you seen me fight? Is it my mannerisms?
You haven't seen it.
What is it? What gives you off this notion that I can't fight? Nah, I feel you though. But that's why I'm glad that you're here today. Like, I've been doing this podcast probably I don't even know how long, maybe like a year. And
I thought it was longer than that.
maybe it's longer than a year. I'm so bad with time.
It has to be longer than that, because I was on in 2020.
Oh, you were on when it was like the audio only version.
Oh.
Yeah. So at the beginning,
during COVID.
yeah,
They
during
still had
COVID,
audio.
we did. I started off on Anchor. It was like Anchor platform. So it was only on audio, and then we started doing video. 2021. Like I said, I'm bad with time. So I want to say we started at the beginning of 2021. So yes, over a year, about a year and a half. And it's cool getting to like talk and interview entrepreneurs and creatives, but for those who don't know, like I'm a naturally laid back person.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm super chill.
Yeah.
I kind of go off vibes. So if I'm interviewing somebody, no matter how talented or smart or entertaining they are, if their vibes are low, then we're both having low vibes. Like, it's difficult. So I kind of wanted to bring somebody in to like share that energy balance, because and also it's a cool dynamic having multiple different viewpoints, right?
Right.
Like, you may be more well versed on the subject than I am, and you could lead the conversation, and I could come from a place of curiosity, and it makes for great conversation. So
Have you been wanting a co-host?
I've been wanting a co-host since I started this. But
Oh, really?
For one, I hate asking people for stuff or to do anything.
You told me that before.
Yeah, I hate asking people for stuff. And then the second one is I just didn't know like how to go about it, right? Because a couple of people I do know, they already have their own podcast. And then I always liked the male and female dynamic of conversations. But then I didn't really know a lot of, women that I thought, I'm trying to figure out how to say this.
Yeah.
That I thought would make for a great co-host to cover a variety of subjects. I'll say that.
I will tell you there's something I've learned since I've been doing like more media lately.
Right.
Is women actually have a lot harder expectations on them when they're in front of the camera, not just visually, but their voice.
Gotcha.
Like the cadence of their voice and the decibel at which their voice travel, like all that stuff matters when viewers are listening or watching. It's what determines, you know, how many people tune in. So if people want to know what I'm talking about, if you tune into your late night radio shows, or you listen to even women like on the air, they all have kind of like a voice that's maybe like a tenor for a team or a female, or kind of a lower voice.
Gotcha.
So women that have higher pitched voices, it's actually scientifically proven that people do not listen to higher pitched voices.
Is it because it's annoying?
It's well, it has something to do with
Just
the ear,
kidding.
the way the brain takes in the information, and when
Right.
a voice goes past a certain tone, which is why a lot of people don't listen when women are screaming.
Oh, yeah.
When they're screaming, their voice
Right.
raises, not just the sound, but like the tone of the
Gotcha,
voice
for
raises.
sure.
So, yeah, just so people know. I learned all that. So it is hard to find a female.
Nah, facts. And a crazy fun fact is I hate my voice.
Oh, everybody says that.
I really do. So like, I used to make music a long time ago. Just because, you know,
Were you
friends.
singing?
No, heck no.
Were you rapping?
I was rapping.
Oh, okay.
I was decent.
Did you hate your voice when you were rapping?
I did. I hated my voice when I was rapping. And I still hate my voice. But I was like, you know, I got to get past that. So, you know, repetition. I mean, I still hate my voice, but now it's easier for me to listen to, you know, like.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd rather just like, especially like on recap videos, I'd rather just like watch me than actually listen to me say something.
Oh, so you like the way you look? You just
Only
don't
on
like
the
way
left
you-
side.
This is my
Only
good
on the
side.
left side. Everybody on my team knows. You know, James knows, Ian knows, Cal, like all the shooters know, like, hey, left side's my best side. I don't know. Well, I know what it is. So since we're talking about fun facts, so when I was younger, I don't know what it is. I used to call like the Michael Jackson thing. So I have like these spots on my neck. It started off like as a small spot, like, y'all probably can't see on camera, but it started off as like a small spot, like right here somewhere. And then like over years, it just grew. So like now it kind of like goes further back, a little bit like on the back of my head. So I never liked actually people viewing me on this side.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then as I got older, it was like different things about my right side. Like my beard doesn't fully grow, connect on the right side. I don't know. It's just my right side it's just lagging. Like I needed to
Hey.
just needed to pick it up. You know, you got to meet the left. So I don't know. Like people tend to say, like, you know, everybody has their things. Like I know people sometimes think that, you know, I come across as, you know, confident and, you know, within myself, but we all have our little things that, you know, we wish we could change. And, you know, for me, it's stuff like that.
I think most people think
Yeah.
that. Most people think I'm like, actually, the biggest misconception that people get about me is that I'm stuck up, or that I'm, you know, that I'm not easy to reach. I guess it's my resting bitch face that I give off all the time. But as soon as people start talking to me,
Right.
you know, they're like, "Oh, well, you're not anything like I thought you
Yeah,
were."
super
I'm like,
sweet.
Thank you. Like, I don't know what that means, but
I mean, you're a
Thank
nice
you.
person. You're a nice person. Like,
that's what I hear.
yeah, you're easy to talk to. So I would say I get from people sometimes maybe people don't know how to read certain people.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when they don't know how to read somebody, the first thing it goes to is negativity. Like, man, she looks like she's mean, or she looked like she wouldn't talk to me, or
Yeah,
You know?
it's normal. I mean, we're supposed to do that. That's like, it's just part of the way we scan our environments. We place things into categories so we can feel more comfortable with them.
yeah. So.
And then when we're wrong, we're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I would have thought something else.
God, did before you met me, did you have anything that stood out? Was it like he looks or he seems like
Yeah, I did not know you were as laid back as you were.
super laid back?
I thought you were like some big, like, I don't know. Like, I thought you would be, most people I know that are behind a big brand, they're a certain way. Like, and because they know everybody knows who they are,
Right.
you know, so they act a certain way. They kind of have this hierarchy type of
Yeah.
deal going on. So if I would have met you outside of COSIGN, I would not have known you were the owner of COSIGN.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah, no, so I didn't know how laid back you were at all.
Yeah. Nah, super laid back. Sometimes it's like sometimes I have to insert myself because I'm super chill. Like I have to get used to like going out and approaching people or having people approach me. Like I just want to just be in the mix, just chilling. You know what I'm saying? So it's overwhelming at times too, because how I grew up, men didn't really just talk to other men, like, you know what I'm saying? Just like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like, man just didn't pull up on other men, like, oh, bro, I love what you're doing. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or it's like we didn't talk to strangers, basically.
Yeah.
Like, if we didn't grow up with you, or, you know, if you didn't hoop with us, or you wasn't in our circle, or we didn't know of you, we're not just talking to people. So I had to kind of get out of that whole mindset when I moved here and started doing co-signs. Like, bro, like, you have to network. You have to be willing and open to meet new people and work with them.
I'm working on networking.
Yeah,
It's a whole thing. It's a whole other thing you gotta do.
Man, it is, because it's so transactional too.
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah, it's so transactional. Like, oh, hey, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we defined by what do we do? I understand. I get it. You're trying to figure out where you fit and like how you can insert yourself or what can that person do for you. But
Right.
I feel like sometimes we should just try to get to know a person first, because where I struggle at a lot of times, like my friends know, is that everything I do is around cosign. So it's like, man, sometimes it'll be cool just to hear from people, just to check on me, or just, you know what I'm saying, to see what's up, not about work or about what I can do. So it's like, it's a hard dynamic, because if all you do is work, that's all people know you for, that's all
yeah.
you want. So trying to find that balance, you know.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons for the podcast, right? To get to know people.
Yeah. So people are getting to know me. I spoke on this one podcast last week or 2 weeks ago, and she said, "Give me 5 words to describe you."
Damn, was that hard?
It was hard. It was hard.
It's usually hard for
It
people
was
to do.
hard. But one of the last things I said was it was emo.
Emo?
Yeah. Because I take shit personal. I take everything personal.
Oh, like emotional.
Yeah. What you thought I meant?
I thought you meant emo, like, you know, the trend when emo
hell no.
style was a thing.
No, not Paramore. I mean,
Where
I
you,
listen
like,
to
paint your
Paramore.
nails.
No. It was never that guy. Salute to, I have friends who are like that, but, you know, no. I meant more just like, you know, I take shit to heart. I take shit personal. You know what I'm saying? That type of emo.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So how do you? I
Yeah.
didn't know that about you.
Man, yeah. I mean,
Now I know.
nah, I do. But I don't want you to, like, move differently. Like, be,
No, I'm
you
not.
know.
No, I'm not. I just
Yeah.
didn't know that about you because I would assume as much business as you do.
Yeah, I don't show it, but those who know. So, like, I'll give you an example. Like I said on that, I don't know, like, how many people listen to that, but I'll just say it again. So, like, me and my friend Brandon Moore, we have, like, this inside joke because, you know, he's a huge influencer out here. He has a growing email list. And, you know, Cosign's email list, you know, we're starting to put a lot more emphasis on that. And I told him like a couple years ago, I was like, man, I was so pissed when he's like, bro, what's wrong with you? He's like, man, this dude I know unsubscribed from my email list. It pissed
I
me.
sent you an alert.
Yeah.
Someone unsubscribed.
And it pissed me off because it's like, bruh, like, you always asking me for stuff and you're going to unsubscribe. Like, bro, all you have to do is either open it, read it, delete it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, what makes you want to take that extra step to, you know, unsubscribe as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, just leaving it there. So, like, that really pissed me off. And then, but what's crazy is, though, when I said it, Brandon were like, bro, I thought I was the only one. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of people that take shit personal. We just mask it well. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'll see you out, and I'll be like, yeah, what's up? Yeah, what's up? But deep down, I know, like, bro, forget you.
In business, I don't take things personal. In my personal life, I would say sometimes I do. If it directly affects my life, I will take it personal. In business, I think the only time I take things personal is if someone. Ooh, how can I say this? This is good though, because I think other people might deal with this. If someone makes decisions for or treats me a certain way because they assume that I'm a certain way because I'm a woman.
Okay.
Which most people assume that I am overly emotional because I'm a woman in business. But if anybody's ever fully, truly done business with me,
Right.
they know that's not the case.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, I guess I'm used to it, though, because most women have to deal with that anyway.
No, that is true. So I try to use it in a positive manner. So like, even if I don't get, you know, a bid or, you know, a job that I'm going out for or a contract or something, I'll try to, it'll hurt. So I'll take it personal, but I'll try to take it more personal. Like, all right, you need to step it up. You know what I'm saying? You need to do more, because even though I may think I deserve it, obviously there's a reason why that company doesn't feel like I deserve it. So where am I going wrong? What do I need to do more of? So a lot of times I'll try to flip it and use it for, you know, positivity. Unless like I really know the person and it's like, why are you operating like this? You know what I'm saying? Which kind of brings me to like, you know, something else I want to talk about was like, you know, friendship and business, like mixing the two. How does that work? Because, you know, I've been in business with friends multiple times. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Like there's one situation I'm going through right now to where, you know, we tried, it didn't work out, and then we both have our own brands and try collaborating. But it's like he's taking things personal and he's not communicating. So it's making a weird dynamic. So it's like now we're really no longer friends. So it's like we started off as great friends. He had a business, I had a business. We would help each other's business. And then he created a business almost in the same field as mine, which I helped him with ideas.
Yeah.
And then we stopped being friends. Then we came back to say, like, let's fix it out. Let's work it out. We tried, something else happened, and now it's like, bro, I don't think we could really come back from.
That sucks.
You know.
That happens a lot, though.
It does. So it's like, how do you, like, what's the best way to approach, you know, business as friends? Like, okay, is it because people go into it like half-heartedly, like meaning we're friends, we're gonna do a business, but because you're my friend, I really don't want to put this paperwork in front of you. Like what's the best way you think we should?
The best way, I think, and I'm saying this based off of personal experience.
Okay.
I was one of the few lucky people that grew up with a family of entrepreneurs, like bloodline on both sides of entrepreneurs. And then my parents were entrepreneurs and they worked together. So I got to witness a personal relationship and them also run business. And then also the studying I've done, brain and behavioral science, with companies and their structure and things.
Right.
I think if you're going, business is not easy to do.
Right.
It's not. Most people think business is just bringing an idea to life, and it's not. Business is very analytical. It's a lot bigger than you. It's not really about what you want. It's about how much you can actively aim at and succeed at
Right.
and actually execute. So I think the problem that a lot of friends have is friends like to talk about ideas and they like to brainstorm. And if you're creative, a lot of your other friends are creatives too.
Right.
So y'all be sitting down talking and it's like, man, you know, what you do, I could kind of see this. And then I could see like us doing this. It's always visionary.
Right, for
Everything's
sure.
like, oh, I could see this. I could do this. And that's all you focus on, right? So you're just focusing on the trajectory of an idea. You're not focusing on the structure. You're not focusing on the actual business aspect of it. You're
Right.
still sitting in that high of dopamine,
Right.
that you're all in that moment with, and it feels good. It makes
Nah,
your
it
brain
does.
feel like you're succeeding, and
sure.
you haven't really gotten anywhere. That's why talking about ideas feels so good
Right.
for people. It's because it releases that hormone in your brain. So I just see people fail because for some reason, they just forget, or they just choose not to take in the structure of business with them. And then they get upset when the shit falls apart.
Man, yeah.
Because you have nothing on paper. There's nothing in writing at all. And then when you start seeing things differently, which is normal, because y'all never talked about that part. Y'all just talked about the things that you did agree on. It's just like a relationship.
Yeah.
A personal it's the same. I tell people this all the time. It's the same thing. Just like in your personal relationship, you guys have to figure out where your weaknesses are. You got to talk about them, and you got to let each person have their strength. So like, okay, my partner's strong here. Cool, I'm not, but I'm strong here, and let each other have those strengths and help each other in those weaknesses. And you do the same thing in business. The problem I think business people have is they bring their strengths together and they just focus on that.
Right.
And then their weaknesses come up later and they don't know how to deal with them.
And they don't know how to communicate.
Yeah. Well, communication is a weakness too.
Yeah. It's facts. So this is one thing I believe in. I don't know who's the first person that came with this idea or said this, but I really believe in when people show you who they are, believe them, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, a lot of people can have great ideas, right? But outside of that 5 minutes when you're high off talking these ideas, sit back and think about, even as your friend, how many ideas have they actually seen through
brought to life
or executed, right? And if there's no case study of them ever doing that, then it might have to be a fact where, like, bro, you have a really amazing idea. Let me help you bring this to life, and then let's see how this works. Like, let's break out the structure of what this looks like. Because, communication, in the past, you haven't done it before. I may have experience doing this. Let me take charge, lead, on this project. It might be one of those conversations where it's tough, like, bro, you're trying to steal my idea, blah, blah, blah.
It is tough because you have to sacrifice parts of yourself, and you have to admit your weaknesses.
Definitely.
Like, there's some shit I just don't know.
Right. Nah.
And I'm one of those people that's like, I'm not going to pretend I know.
Right.
Especially in the black race, because black people, we are the number one race. If there's anything we know how to do, we know how to front. We are like the poster child for fronting. We know how to do that.
But you know what it is? From what I've seen, and I could be wrong, but what I've seen is because of lack of opportunity, right?
That, and I think that I do think a lot of it stems from always being, an inferior race. We've always been at the bottom. We've always had to fight harder, improve more. And we've learned that if we admit that we don't know something, people take advantage of us.
Exactly.
So we have to pretend like we know. So it comes from a place of survival.
Nah, you're right.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you're trying to, do this in business, it is a bad thing because you pretend like you know how to do something, and then you got to show up and you don't know how to do it.
That's why I truly believe in the importance of partnerships and collaborations, because what you're not great at, bring somebody in to help. Like, I know everybody wants 100%. They want to be the boss. They want to be the CEO. They want but like, bro, if you're not the person to make that happen, bring in somebody that can help you and share.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Share that. I'd rather have 50% of something great than 100% of nothing.
I don't understand that. You know what I mean? I really don't understand. I mean, part of me does, which is because I see this a lot. Like, people want to have the credibility. They want to say, this was mine. I did this.
Right. They want
This
to be
is
the
my
one.
name.
Yeah.
Like, this was me. I built this.
I
We
put this brick by
do
brick.
that. And I never understood that, because I'm like, why is it more important to be the first or to be the well-known one than to be the person that made a difference, than to be a person that left because if you actually do it right, if you actually structure it right and you do everything right, then you're going to have that anyway.
Right. But, deep down, people are, and it's all of us, deep down, we're vain. If you really think about it, social media is built to highlight that. Just like you post a picture, you're immediately looking to see how many likes or comments. You want validation. You want that recognition. And it transfers over to business. Like, you want people to know you built something super successful. That's the reason why you share it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same point, it's like you have to understand, like, maybe the spotlight doesn't have to only be on you. If you share it, it'll bring more attention to what you and your organization is doing, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, you don't have to be the only one. If you still want to be the one, you could be the one, but you don't have to be the only one.
Yeah, that's what I call that mental and emotional revenue. Like, people, I know a lot of people say they don't like that validation, but we do. We do like it.
Man, I've lost friends and currently not talking to family members over validation. And I'm telling them, and this goes to like the awards, right? Which is what I hate about the awards, but I love that it highlights and recognizes our community. But I hate that it brings up the negative aspect of I want to be validated. Like I
Ooh,
need
of losing.
Yeah, not even losing. So like they feel left out. Like like
Oh yeah, like they're not recognized.
Yeah, they're
like
not
I didn't work hard enough.
yeah, so like I have and I have friends who are like, bro, how come I'm not like I'm not nominated or and people who work with me under COSIGN, they understand like, hey, because you work under COSIGN, you can't be nominated because that's conflict of interest, right? Because if you're in-house, right, and you work with us every week and you win, regardless of how talented you are, people are going to assume it's because you're in-house, right?
Yeah.
And I know it sucks. I hate it. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could highlight and honor, the whole team. But, there's just different ways to go about it. And, I've had arguments with, my friends, my cousin, like, and I'm like, bro,
you didn't give me a trophy, bro. Yeah. Where's my trophy?
Exactly.
I gave you that one idea. Where's my trophy?
Man, I be having like to laugh it off, but sometimes, it is like, people have to understand, like, I get it, and I respect it because, as a community, we already don't get a lot of recognition. Like, they highlight entertainers, athletes, celebrities. So as an entrepreneur, influencer, executive, CEO, et cetera, you don't really get many award programs, award shows. And if you do, it's maybe something within like an organization that doesn't speak to the culture that you're really a part of, right? So I'm sure some people are executives in companies and they may receive, top salesperson of the year, within an organization. That's cool, but it's probably not as cool as if you receive, something from your community of peers, of entrepreneurs for an idea you crafted, created, came with, and then, that you were like, damn, I built this brick by brick myself, and now I'm getting validated for it. But I don't feel like it should be the end all, be all. Like, this is more just like platforms are more so just to like recognize, like, even as having a platform, I never want people to think that they need our validation, right? Because you really don't. It's just like an extra benefit or extra bonus to having a platform see what you do.
Yeah, it's interesting because it made me think of, because they do this in Hollywood, right? Those the big, huge award shows, which means everything to these actors. And there was a scene, and I hope I don't butcher this. I think it was the Golden Globe Awards, and it was Jim Carrey, and he was saying, I'm not just Jim Carrey. I'm a 3-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey. And when I go to sleep at night, I dream of being 4-time, or maybe it was 3 or 4-time, 5-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey, because then I'll finally be enough. Then I can go to sleep at night and rest. And he was basically mocking, right, the whole system of like, why are we doing this? We literally go and we spend our whole lives and we sacrifice and we get these roles and we act just so we can win awards.
Right. Just do it for the art, for the craft of love, And if you get recognition, thank you. But don't do it for that. You get what I'm saying? And I see it in music all the time with the Grammys. It's always something. But I don't know what it is with our community. I don't know why we seek.
Beyonce should have won that award.
Right? Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's the validation, but we have to know that we're enough regardless. You know what I'm saying? And even I felt slighted before plenty of times, but I never felt like, oh, because I didn't get this, like, man, forget them or blah, blah, blah. It's more so just, hey, I didn't get it or I wasn't recognized for it. But I know my value that I bring to my audience, my community. So I'm still cool. Like, regardless if I win this, I know that, I still have clients to serve. I still have people that's going to tune in. I still have a team. Like, anything else really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, as long as your core is good, you shouldn't worry about that. But that's my
COSIGN just,
man, it's a beautiful thing, but also it's taxing at times, It's taxing. So
you didn't vote for me?
Say it. I hear it all. It was crazy. We're getting ready for the next award season.
I know. I saw the post the other day.
Yeah, so it's like, here we go.
Ooh, what am I gonna wear this year?
Here we go again. I know. I got to get me another custom suit. But yeah, just thinking of different ways to make it better. But overall, I just want people to know that, you know, they don't need to seek validation. And I feel like some of this stuff is already kind of embodied us as we were growing up. We always wanted validation. It started like from our parents, right? We want to make our parents happy, make our parents proud,
yeah.
you know, make our teachers proud. Then you go on a basketball team or volleyball team or whatever team, your coach and your friends. You're always going to be seeking a validation for approval from somebody, but
Everything we do is to win something or to gain something. And we know we can't get that thing unless we do this thing.
Right.
Doesn't matter, even if it's in school, like you have to make good grades in
Right.
order to be recognized as a good student or a smart person, which is crazy because, you know, it's a system.
Right.
But yeah, everything we do is like that. So I think it's easy to get lost in it. It makes sense. But it'll exhaust you.
Nah, facts. But at what point do we start to do it for ourselves, right? So, for example, I always promised my mom that I would get, you know, a college degree. So I was basically going to college
For her.
For her. So, and then I realized, like, man, I love my mother, but I can't do this for somebody else. You know, if I'm gonna do this, it needs to be for me. And it wasn't for me. I felt like, me personally, I didn't need college. Yes, I'm a hypocrite because my daughter will be going to college. But, you know, it's like at some point we have to start making decisions for us, right? Not to please anybody else, no matter what it is, even if it's a sport thing. Can you become a better person and athlete than you were the day before? Are you willing to put in that work for yourself to become better? Not because, you know, you're trying to impress your coach or you're trying to get a bonus or you're trying to get these stats, but can you be a better player? What can you learn today that you didn't know yesterday?
Yeah.
And I feel like we should take that in all aspects of life. You know, I even try to do that myself. Like on my downtime, I look at podcasts like, man, how can I speak better? How can I transition better? What topics can I, you know, touch on that people would want to see? Not to win a podcast award or to become the #1 podcast, but because I want to be better. You know, I just want to be the best at everything I do. That's just me.
Yeah. You said something interesting about college, which is a very big deal in the Black community.
Yes.
You know, going to college or not. I know for myself, I promised my ancestors that I would get a college degree.
Yeah.
And that's really serious in my family because fortunately for me, we are able to draw our bloodline all the way back to slavery. So when we go back home, or what we call home, and we have our family reunions, we have historical marks there, and even our family's graveyard has my ancestors who were slaves. Their graves are there. So when I go visit them, you know, I'm standing in front of their graves where they don't have a birth date because they don't know the day they were born, right? They just have the year they were born, their first name, and their slave owner's last name. And I'm like, yeah, I owe it to them.
Right.
And then I did not like college.
Yeah.
I did not like it. And it's so funny because everybody thinks that I have done higher education.
Right. I thought so.
Like everybody thinks that. And I just cheated the system. I cheated the system. I learned, okay, intelligence has nothing to do with completing a degree.
Right.
The ability to think analytically and educate yourself has nothing to do with having a degree. And what I did is instead of going through the whole system, I said, you know what I will do? I'll go get the certifications that are going to benefit me and my business and stuff I want to do. And I'll pay for those classes, whether I have to do a semester or whatever, and I'll get certified and licensed through colleges.
Right.
So I have like probably 5 different certifications and licensing through very, very credited schools, right? And I cheated the whole system. And my ass still ended up in Forbes. So, you know, and it's crazy because, like, I used to believe I wasn't smart because I didn't go to school. I did, and I thought I was an embarrassment to my family because I didn't finish education. So you do have to do it for yourself.
You really touched on a point. You thought you wasn't smart because you didn't finish school. I felt the same way. I used to be in circles, and it was crazy. And it'd be our own people sometimes. I used to be like,
oh my God, that's exactly who it was.
Yeah, I used to be like in these affluent Black circles, and they were talking about how they got their masters, you know, their bachelors, you know, all this stuff, doctorates, And I'm like, I got my associates, and I didn't finish school because I had my daughter at a young age, and didn't benefit me. Like everything I learned as far as entrepreneurship and business, I learned through executing and from experiences.
Yeah.
So like, it would make me feel like smaller.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, why do I feel this way? And there's nothing wrong with working corporate jobs, but it was like, man, y'all are working these high paying jobs, but it's like some of y'all are getting paid six figures at a company, and that's y'all ceiling. But like,
Right.
I'm making six figures doing my own thing. Like, why are you making me feel like this? And I started to realize, man, you know what? I can't worry about what they think, because I could learn everything they learn for myself through, reading books, through, like you said, getting certifications, through classes. Google has so many certifications you can take.
Google's unlimited.
There's so many different opportunities out there to learn things and get certified, and you can take workshops, classes, so many different ways. So as long as you retain the information and use it effectively, I feel like that's what really matters. You know what I'm saying?
And I do understand like that pressure, because it wasn't always, we weren't allowed to go to school at one point.
Right.
And yes, our ancestors did have to fight for us to do that. So when we don't go, it's like disrespectful.
Yeah, that's what my mom was.
To them.
My parents weren't born here. They were born in Panama. They moved here for to give me, my sister, and myself a better life. So they was like, oh, y'all gonna go to school. You're gonna be a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. And you know what's crazy? I was great at school. Like my sister has her master's degree, and she was the one who used to struggle in school. Mm-hmm. I would pass tests without studying. I would pass tests. I never made a C in my life.
Really?
Never.
Damn, you're better at school than I was.
Yeah, never. I probably can count on one hand how many times I was on A, B honor roll. I was always on A honor roll. The whole thing. I played sports. Like I was a great student. So everyone, not just my parents, everyone expected me to go to college, and I did. And I quickly realized, man, like it wasn't for me, but I kept doing it to please them. And then once the turning point for me was when I had my daughter, and I was a sophomore in college, and I had her. And then my mom wanted me to finish college so bad that she was basically, raising my daughter as a baby, so I could go to school and her daughters and her mother can go to school. Ooh. And I'm like, man, I appreciate it, but I'm like, it's not your job. You know what I'm saying? You raised your two kids. I was like, let me raise my kid. And she was like, no, you need to finish school. You need to do this. I got it. And I was like, nah, you've done this enough. So I dropped out of school, started working. Then I got a job overseas, a well-paying job overseas, to take care of not only myself and my daughter, but my daughter's mom and my mom. So, I mean, it helped. But it was like, to her, she was like, I really wanted you to get a degree. And I'm like, you're going to have to let this one go, Mom. You're going to have to let this one go.
I think one day I might, just for the hell of it. If it's something I really, really want to have, maybe. But I don't think I need it to be successful.
You know what I would like to do? I don't know how it works, but have you seen like to where these high-profile people are becoming, what is it called? Like honorary degrees or something like that they're getting? Like, you know how like, I think Diddy has like an honorary master's or doctorate degree, or
oh yeah,
I don't know how that works.
Seeing like they go back to school or something and they get something.
Yeah, but it's like they're not fully going back, but they're doing something to get something. I don't know how it works, so I don't want to like belittle their situation, but I've seen something like, I was a part of a program. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to ask him, Dr. J. Fred Robinson. I'm gonna have to ask him because he did something recently. It's like they're getting like their doctorate degree. For certain individuals. I'm not sure what the process is, but I wouldn't mind doing something like that, That way I have to fully...
Oh, does that have something to do with your line of work?
Yeah.
How long you've been doing it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, see, I do think having the doctor...
Yeah, so I'll do that. Cool, Dr. KG.
Dr. KG. You sound like a villain.
Yeah, really. Dr. KG, please respect me as such. Do not forget the doctor. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. Actually, I would do that because I deserved it. But yeah,
I want to look into that.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think that would serve its purpose for my mom, and I think she would like that.
And you get to be called doctor.
Doctor, Mr. Can it be Mr. Doctor or just Doctor? Doctor.
Well, you could be called Mr. now. Mr. Doctor.
Mr. Doctor. Mr. Dr. Graham.
Sir Doctor. Sir Dr. KG.
Sir Dr. KG. At that point, I think I'll just leave KG out. Just call me just Dr. Graham. Dr. Graham. Yeah, I like that. It sounds good to Dr. Graham. I can get used to that. I can get used to that. So I have this quote I want to share with you.
Okay.
And get your perspective on it. Anybody knows me, Alchemist is one of my favorite books.
I love that book.
Yes.
That's the only book I read in one day.
It took me 2 days, but yes, that book was amazing. That book was actually one of the books that kind of changed the trajectory of my life. I was working contracting at the time, and after I read that book, I was like, I need to go on my own personal journey. And
yeah, now just so people know, I don't usually read books in one day. It's just the book was that good that I had to finish it.
I highly suggest anyone. I know it's one of those extremely popular books, but it's popular for a reason. So I highly suggest you read it. So there's a quote that says, "There is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure." Right? Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of people don't start because they're afraid to fail, or they quit because things aren't going their way at a certain time. And there's a lot of triggers, about why people quit or why they're afraid. What about that quote stands out to you, and how do you feel like people can, combat, the fear of failure?
So I actually have something on this, which is kind of cool. This was not planned, guys.
This was not planned.
It really wasn't.
Neither was All Black.
So it really, I just showed up like this. I was like, hey, we got some synchronicity going on already.
We do.
So with my studies in brain and behavioral science, hold on, let me put my cup down for this.
Okay.
With my studies in brain and behavioral science, I talk about fear. Fear is a natural instinct that we have, and it's made to keep us alive. So it's actually not a bad thing. We've had it since the beginning of time. If it wasn't for that, we'd all be dead.
Right.
So,
That makes sense.
so it's made to keep us safe, right? And our brain has these barriers that if there's anything outside of what we know, we think it's dangerous. But there is a difference between danger and fear. And that's where we get it confused, right? So when we feel that fear, we automatically believe we're in danger. And the way you can tell the difference is fear is inside of you. Danger is outside of you, right? And you can only control what's inside of you.
Right.
So you can still be fearless, but be aware that there's danger out there, right? So if you can conquer fears and you understand that this is just you going down a path that you're not aware of, like even something as simple as driving home the same route every day. If we decided to take a different route and turn off our GPS, we would start freaking out a little bit.
Right.
Just something that simple. That's how much the mind is programmed to, be safe. So yes, you're right. A lot of people do quit because of that feeling when they're coming across unknown territory. That's why people that invented things, people that discovered things and traveled around the world when nobody else would are like our heroes.
Right.
Because they did something at a time when everyone else said, I'm not going to do this. The earth is flat.
Nah, definitely.
We're not going to go past that, right? So, those people going beyond that is what gave us the world that we have now. So we have to continue doing that so we can, create new worlds. But that's what I think about fear. It's normal. Like me, I have big ideas and I'm always wanting to see like, okay, what can I actually truly accomplish and obtain? And sometimes they scare me.
Right. Not
like
for sure.
when I started my business, it scared me. And I ended up being global, going around globally. My business traveled globally within the first year during a pandemic, which I wasn't expecting that to happen.
Right.
But I do believe the universe or God, whatever y'all believe, I believe that we are rewarded when we step out of fear, when we lead with faith, because there's really no limit in what we can do if that fear's out of the way, right? It's like when babies are awesome. And I love babies because they're not scared of shit.
They're not.
They come out, they want to touch everything. They want to go everywhere. If you let them, they'll crawl on the street. but we know what happens. So we're like, no.
Right.
The first thing we teach them is no.
No, yeah.
You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do.
Right.
And so we grow up. We grow up in this safe arena, but it's because of what we can't do.
Right.
So we're programmed about living our lives based off of what we can't do. You know what I mean? Instead of what we can do.
You know what, that brings up a great point to me. That was well said. So kind of like what you said already, entrepreneurship is scary, but for me, what's even more scary is regret, right? So I would rather, have fear about trying something new if I'm going to fail, but I don't think I could really sit with the regret of not trying, right? Even if I fail, I'd rather try and fail to not have tried at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just, something that's within me to where I know like, hey, I can always try again. But I feel like some people don't have that within them because they quit when they're so close or they quit when it gets rocky.
Yeah.
But you have to think, I know it's, it started off as a song, but you only live once is a fact.
Yeah.
Right? There's different ways to live within your one life, but you only get one of them. So why not really try to accomplish everything you want, and instead of being afraid to trying things new? I think a lot of people are afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
I was at one point, when my parents had me in church. I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ. I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. But I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what's after. I've been told, there's heaven. I've been told, and I believe it.
Right.
But even that I'm afraid of because I don't know what that is. I'm afraid of the unknown. I'm fearful of
Most of us are afraid of the unknown. That's why we label it. That is why we label it. So at night when the roads are pitch black, you can't see anything. All the lights go off.
Right.
We don't want to go down that road
Nah.
because we can't see because we don't know what's there. We don't like being in situations where we don't know what's going on.
Definitely. Keep me away from it.
We're just weird. We are very uncomfortable being steeped in ignorance. Yes. And, in regards to your regret comment, what's interesting is the number one thing people talk about on their deathbed is their regrets.
Exactly.
They don't talk about what they've done and, their family and how much money they've made. They always talk about the one thing they wish they would have done. I always hear that, and that's been a study somewhere. If I can find that, I'll bring it up next time. But it's regrets. When someone's passing on from this life, that's the last thing that they think about is what they didn't do.
Gotta learn to live a life with no regrets. It's easier said than done.
Much easier said than
Much easier said than done, but we really have to, work on that.
Yeah.
As a people, I feel like we really need to experience life in all of its capacity, right? I know all of us have big dreams and man, I want to see the world. What's stopping you? Well, finances. Okay, so everything great worth having requires sacrifice, right? Not saying it all could be done. Yeah, you probably can't travel all of Europe and Africa in 1 year. But if you sacrifice for 6 months, maybe you could take one trip.
Right.
And then do the same thing. If you start a business, maybe you have an additional income to add 2 trips. So it really goes back to, the Eric Thomas thing, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to succeed? Are you willing to sacrifice for it? And then taking the baby steps to get there.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want to do for this podcast, when we leave, is I want to leave on actionable steps, something to give the people to do until they hear from us again or see us again, depending where you're watching this. So one thing I wanted to talk about, I recently made a post about how basketball is therapeutic for me and how I've been so, overwhelmed and stressed. And I've been, just kind of locked in on this, I got to get it. All hustle, no luck, grinding 24/7. That shit's a myth. We do need breaks. We do need, time to decompress. So I've been, starting to implement, a weekly basketball routine. So, once a week, I'll go play basketball or I'll just put some shots up because I enjoy doing it for me, my personal time. And like I said, it's therapeutic. So, with you and your studies and your experiences, what are other things or you think people should be doing when they get overwhelmed and stressed and to help them decompress? Because a lot of times, we see people and it's all smiles and hugs. but deep down they're going through the same thing that we're going through. They're stressed or overwhelmed or feeling certain ways, whether it's depressed or anxious. And, you know, I know this is kind of under your realm. Like, do you have anything for us entrepreneurs or creators who feel like, man, this is too much right now?
Yeah, the first thing I tell people to do is to reevaluate everything that they're giving to.
Okay.
So everything that you're part of, and I'm not just talking about business-wise, I mean even in your personal life, you can exhaust yourself, you can experience burnout from evenly spreading yourself to everyone but yourself, right? So, and then we start lashing out at people, or we stop, like, we lose interest in our work, or we start losing ideas. You know, we're just going downward.
Right.
Mainly because we're not. I know people talk about self-care, but it's more than self-care, because it's not something that can be solved by going to the spa.
Right.
Right? It's not. You have to actually be in a state. You have to do something, which is why basketball works. You have to do something, well, at least for you, you have to do something that puts your mind and body into a current state of being, right? So you have something to actively focus on.
Right.
That is why yoga works. That's why boxing works. Swimming, anything that requires you to be present.
Right.
And there's like, this is just a hack on life, by the way. If you ever, I don't think happiness, like finding happiness is the goal, because I don't think we'll ever really be happy.
Right.
Because happiness just depends on what we want and if
if
it's fulfilled or not. But being content is, I think, a better, goal. And not just content, but being present. Being present is being in the moment, and that's living.
Right.
Being in the moment is actually living, because most of the time when we're in the moment, we're talking about the past, or we're planning for the future, or we're worried about the future.
You hit it.
Right? So if we do things that force us to be present, that's how you balance yourself out. That's how you experience the true moment of happiness or being or therapy. Therapy works too.
Right.
Like talk therapy, or if you actually have a therapist,
Right.
It works because you're being present with your therapist. You're
Definitely.
currently talking about how you currently feel right now in the moment and what's going on with you, and you feel better
Right.
from it. So you can do that in any aspect of your life, right? This is also why affairs are so prevalent and why they feel like they're real. Because people are more present with the person that they are having an affair with than they are in their marriage. In their marriage, it's comparison, it's stress, it's,
Right.
I got to do this, I got to be this, I got to,
It's actual life. That's
and then when you step outside of that, you're present in that moment with that person, so it feels real. Really, all you're doing is living in the moment.
Right.
So if we lived in the moment and everything we did, right, it would solve that issue of us being burnout, or, I think that's all it is. And one of the ways of doing that is like gratitude in the moment, gratitude. But like you said, you play basketball. Sometimes I just go for a walk. I like to go outside. So me going outside and being around trees and shit, putting my feet in the grass, brings me to a state of present being. And that's really the trick.
That's amazing.
Does that make sense?
It makes way.
Yeah, that's the trick. I'm not making that
No,
up.
for
That
sure,
really
it
is
does.
like, we're really simple, but we're complicated.
No, it does. And that's why, to go circle back, make it a full circle moment, that's why I really wanted to have a co-host, because exactly what you said, I feel the same way, and you articulated it so well. So I always think in the future, because I'm always working on the next move.
Yeah.
Even after this is done, it's what's next.
Yeah, a
right?
lot of us
So
are.
I'm never in the present, and my mind is always racing. And when you said like basketball, it forces you to be in the moment and present. It's so true. Like when I'm playing basketball, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just focused on, shooting, playing defense, scoring, rugging up and down the court. And I feel so great. And then the only messed up part is then when I'm done playing and then I'm relaxing, and then it just hits you like a ton of bricks. Like, I still got this, and this to do. But while I'm playing basketball, it's so amazing. And I feel like more people should do that. Just be in the moment. Whatever that is for you.
Moment.
Just be in the moment.
And you got to work on yourself too.
Yeah.
Like you have to, some people, I think the reason they see that stuff as negative is because some people use it as a distraction mechanism to actually deal with themselves. So people will play video games for hours or, you know, maybe they play basketball too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, but they're doing it as an escape instead
escapism.
of being present. Right. So when you do
that.
these things, you have to acknowledge, hey, this is making me happy. This is making me happy, right? This is giving me something. It's not just taking me away,
Right.
but it's giving me something. But you do have to make sure that you're still dealing with yourself.
Yes.
Because if you don't deal with yourself, then there ain't never going to be enough you can do.
Still got to do the work.
You still got to do your work.
You still got to do the work. You still got to do the work. I think this was an amazing episode of our first one together. Like, so glad I got a co-host. I think y'all don't really understand how happy I am to have a co-host. And this is just us naturally having a conversation, going over stuff. So wait till y'all see the next one we actually have a guest. This was just a vibe. So now that I have a co-host, I don't have to do everything. So I'm going to let you take us out. And I'm going to just, sip on whatever I'm sipping on.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you can close it out, Miss Co-host.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to COSIGN Conversations with KG and Adaire.
Or Adaire and KG. We don't know yet. I don't care. I don't mind. I'll go second. I want to be second. So, COSIGN Conversations with Adaire and KG. I like that.
Yeah, I'm excited for our future ones.
Yeah, me too.
That's going to be good.
Thank y'all for watching or for tuning in, and we will see y'all next time.
Next time.
Hey guys, what's good? Thanks for supporting COSIGN Magazine by watching this video. If you really enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share.